I think another great example is like games, app games on your phone. I heard, and I don't remember where it was from, but someone had this great saying where it was like, if the app is free, if the game is free, you are the product. Because how they get that, is that because you are the information that they're getting. They're getting your information, they're getting your attention, they're giving you ads. And so if you don't pay for something, if it's free, then you are the product. And I was like, I know, it was like the look on your face. It stopped me in my tracks. It's like, oh, so now every time I see one of those, I'm like, they're trying to get me. They're trying to make me buy something.
Yeah.
Welcome to Reframe and Reclaim. We are Courtney Huckabee, a psychotherapist,
and Jen Harris, an interior designer, who have teamed up
to reflect,
challenge,
and reframe your mindset in relationship with your personal belongings.
Join us as we discuss and declutter all of the stuff that keeps us stuck.
Learn to intentionally create environments with improved function and design that cultivate peace of mind. Find the reframe.
Start your reclaim. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Reframe and Reclaim. I'm Jen Harris.
And I'm Courtney Huckabee.
And, today what we're going to be talking about is how the world is very stressful right now. That's like the easiest way to put it, right?
Yes.
And how people deal with that stress has been really interesting to see. So we've had the opportunity to travel around and kind of go to different book fairs and kind of see how a little bit of a consumer spending segment. But it's been very interesting to see what books are really selling and what items are really selling at these book fairs. And it's a lot of fantasy, it's a lot of escapism, a lot of entertainment.
Yes.
A lot of impulse purchases of really, really cute little tchotchke things for your home.
Stickers, really cute little, figurines, which are all wonderful and beautifully crafted.
Yes.
But it's so interesting, and we were talking about how stressful the world is. And, there's a lot going on with, you're getting towards the holidays. There's a lot going on, politically. There's a lot going on, with, people and, not getting along. There's stress and tension.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are concerned about, finances as we get closer to the holidays. And I do know that a lot of people cope by kind of escaping the reality. And it's really common, I would love to just go watch, a rom-com. I love to just, have a drink of wine. I'd love to just go on a vacation. Can I just get away from the everyday stressors?
Sounds like the best weekend. Let's go.
A rom-com with wine.
Rom-com
girls'
wine and
vacation.
Weekend off, yes.
But it's so interesting because our book is really about like stepping into the things that are not working for us, that are overwhelming our lives, overwhelming our homes.
Yes.
But sometimes the idea of buying something or adding something or maybe if I just had this cool gadget would make my life better.
Yes.
We're starting to see, in some of these things that we're experiencing in these book fairs and, talking to people at speaking engagements and workshops.
Being in people's homes and seeing what they have. Mm-hmm. All those things combined, yeah.
Yeah, our book is really starting to unfold into life, and we knew this was a thing because we are part of the culture and the community experiencing the stressors and the ideas of how to de-stress. But I'm really curious about like some of the statistics. We've talked about some in the book, but I want to know, like, that book was written, with lots of research a few years ago along the way and published finally last year.
Yes.
But some ideas of like how people are coping with the stressors.
Well, it's really interesting. So about 84% of people admit to doing impulse purchases. Yep, that's me. 40%. This is a big one. 40% of all online spending can come from impulse purchases.
Yes, because it's so easy and convenient.
Buy now.
Right, and
It's
I know that I'm guilty of this. You if I see like something's on sale or it's a clearance or you can for this weekend only. I feel like, oh, I'm gonna miss out. But what I found is there's another sale 2 weeks later or a different sale that comes up.
Yep.
So that advertising is really powerful.
And think of how many ads you see all the time. I mean,
whether it's radio, whether it's YouTube. I know my son likes to look for fun things on YouTube to watch. You get those pop-up ads. But even on podcasts, so Spotify and kind of things, when you're trying to read a good book or listen to a good book, you get those pop-ups.
Well, I think another great example is app games on your phone. I heard, and I don't remember where it was from, but someone had this great saying where it was like, if the app is free, if the game is free, you are the product. Because how they get that, is that because you are the information that they're getting. They're getting your information, they're getting your attention, they're giving you ads. And so if you don't pay for something, if it's free, then you are the product. And I was like, I know, it was like the look on your face. It stopped me in my tracks. It's like, oh, so now every time I see one of those, I'm like, they're trying to get me. They're trying to make me buy something.
Yeah.
So what's going through your head right now? Because you look like you had kind of an aha moment.
Well, I don't play games on my phone, but social media. I'm a millennial. I like to be connected with people, and not everybody that I know and care about are right here in my community. So it's an easy way to stay connected. But there's a ton of advertisements that come through, and I'm like, how do they know that I'm wanting some beauty products? Or how did they know that that's the kind of thing that I'm looking for at the store? It's really interesting to know that, I know there's technology that tracks our information and feeds us information, but it really does work. It does work.
And millennials do spend the most on impulse purchases, which
I wonder why that
isn't a shocker.
Well, you say it's not a shocker.
I don't think it is.
Tell me. I mean, I'm curious why more millennials than other generations are more impulse purchasers.
Because I think boomers and kind of Gen X, kind of had that more, it was less consumerism than like in the 80s, right? But I think if you're a millennial, you grew up in the 80s where it's like, get, more. Then it was the 90s where consumerism and fast fashion started kicking off.
Oh, definitely.
And things, so it's like, I need to
buy something quick. It's easy. It's not very expensive.
Exactly. And then at the shift of the millennium, then it's still over consuming, and then the launch of the internet. So now you have access to everything. And so I think it was all those things combined in growing up around that. I think that's why millennials.
What about Gen Zers? They're not the purchasers.
No, so this is all my theories. This isn't.
I'm just so interested in this information.
I think they aren't, because I think they have seen the other generations. I think they've seen the over-consumerism. I think they're more aware of environmental impacts.
I agree with that.
I think they've seen kind of the negativity, and they're going to have to live with the repercussions of that, right? And I will say, me growing up, I grew up I was educated in Texas and Colorado, but Colorado was very be environmentally conscious and be good to the environment, those kinds of things. But you don't really see the impact of what you purchase, until someone brings it up, and no one really educated us on that until the early 2000s, right? Mid 2000s.
Right.
Because you don't think about, this came on a container from overseas and it takes 90 days to get here, and it's manufactured in this place with these raw materials. And I can think even thinking about, meat products and stuff like that, and how much more food for animals that we consume for meat, how much more food they consume in order for us to eat the protein than it is for us to just grow vegetables and eat the vegetables. It's all really interesting, but you go to the store and buy it, you don't know,
Right, because all I know is I need or want, and it's there, so I purchase.
Yep, online, super easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're telling you to buy, right? And we do. So again, 54% of people say they impulse shop. And then of that, there's impulse purchases are over $100. 1 in 5 or 20% of people make impulse purchases of over $1,000 on a single purchase.
1 in 20 people impulse buy something over $1,000.
One in five, so 20% of people.
One in five.
1 in 5 have made an impulse purchase over $1,000.
So an impulse purchase is something that I'm not planning on. I just see it. It's something that is intriguing or exciting or interesting.
Sparks your fancy.
Sparks your fancy.
And if you go into a store, they say on average you buy an impulse purchase 3 out of every, let me get it right. Was it 3 out of every 10 purchases? With roughly 3 impulse buys occurring every 10 visits. Yes, when you physically go into a store.
Yeah. Well, I am still old school in that I like to visit a store.
Me too.
I like to touch and choose things. I will say more often than not, I'll come out of the store with something that wasn't on my list, but it's not $1,000 or more. I'm just really surprised at the prices that people are impulse buying at.
Well, I think it could also be, I went to the car dealership and I wanted this economic car that was this price point. And, but this is flashier and this has the backup camera and the front camera and the 360 camera. And
was that an impulse buy, though, if you go into the car dealership for a car?
I think it's an impulse if you're not going for the car you intended. So if you're going in for a mid-size sedan and I just want functionality, but then it's like, but this one's flashy and was $40,000, now it's $30,000, and it's $5,000 more than I wanted to spend, but I get all this other things.
I get confused with all the prices. Well,
but you know what I mean? Like I can see that as also being an impulse purchase.
Sure. It
could be a $3 coffee. It could also be upgrading something that you had originally gone in at another price point to budget. And they say that apparel and clothing are the most frequently impulse purchase, right? And food and beverage items are also good impulse buys. And then 65% of consumers say discounts trigger impulse buying. I know that's me.
Get it on a sale.
Yep, exactly. Yep. Like even right now, it's, it's October, but all the Christmas stuff is out. But if you buy it early, it's 50% off. So it's like, well, do I go ahead and buy it now so that way I can spread out my budget? They're trying to get you. All the marketing.
So it sounds to me, the more intentional we are with what we need and want, the less impulse purchasing that you would make.
Yes.
If I just go in with, I'm going to go shopping, you're probably going to buy something that you didn't intend or plan on buying. But if I have more focus and maybe research, like if I'm looking for a car, do I know the kind of car I want? Or I'm just like, window shopping and then I end up with a car in my garage.
Right.
That's impressive.
That's a good salesman, right?
Right.
But I think going back to your question though about why millennials too tend to impulse shop a lot, I think it also goes back to a lot of us were hanging out the malls. Like that's where we hung out with our friends.
The malls are not cool
and
anymore.
You go, I know they don't exist, but it's like you would go with your $20 or whatever, and it's like, what can I spend for $20? And go to Claire's, get your 10 items for $5.
I loved a good Claire's sale. All the chokers.
I know.
The little mood rings,
and the hair things.
Oh,
but I think it's ingrained where it's like shopping was an event. It's like you wouldn't go somewhere to do something. You just go hang out with your friends and shop.
And that goes back to some of the psychology. Now you're bringing in the psychology of our younger years really do pave our experiences and habits. We've talked about in our book that by 10 years old, a lot of your habits of, what you do, what you enjoy, how you spend your time is kind of set. It changes, obviously, but if it was going to hang out with your friends at the skating rink or going to hang out with your friends at the mall and your parents give you $20, you try to make that $20 last.
Yes.
So give me a good sale and how am I going to use this? But I don't have anything I need. And so those kinds of habits for millennials, I'm just going to have a little extra money in my bank account or not, an extra credit limit on my credit card, which kind of gets us in trouble.
Yes. And another interesting statistic is women are more likely than men to make impulse purchases online, and often that low ticket item. So it's like it's on sale, I got to get it. While men are more likely to make high ticket impulse buys. So again, I think that goes back to like the electronics, or it's like, oh, I want this item, but oh, for $200 more, I get all the bells and whistles or whatnot.
I don't understand. I mean, it tracks for my household too. It does. It tracks for my household too. I'm like, that coffee was only $3 or $4.
Yep.
My husband's like, the watch, it was on sale. I'm gonna wear it every day, and he has lots of watches, but that's his thing, But he's more likely to buy a pricier quality watch, and I'm more likely to buy, a beverage in the morning because,
something consumable.
Yeah, something that's quick. But those $3-4 coffees add up at the end of the month if you're intentional about how you're spending money.
Yes. And so I think it just all comes down to really reflecting on ourselves and what is it we really want. Do you really want this $4 coffee, $5 coffee every morning? Does that make you feel like you can start your day and give you a better day? Or at the end of the week, would you rather have an extra $25 in your bank account to save up for a trip? That's $100 a month right there. Yeah. You're spending $5 on a coffee 5 days a week.
Right. So, and that used to be me. I will say I used to be I've got to get out of the house. I need some caffeine kick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a new mom. Now I think there is a little bit more of that plan ahead, brew the coffee at home, drink coffee on the way to work, because there are other expenses that are more important to me than that coffee on the way to work. Now, I do sometimes buy coffee still, but a lot less frequently than I used to.
And like with impulse, like with clothing purchases, I think for a lot of us, I'm just speaking for myself, my closet used to be so full, I wouldn't even know what I necessarily had. So I couldn't see it. And then I would say, well, I don't have anything to wear. So I'm like, oh, I could wear this to some event, or I could wear this to work, even though I have 2 other things that are very, very similar. Yeah. That I could easily just wear those other 2 items. So it's really knowing what you have, being aware of what it is, and understanding what you're going to wear. Because I've also purchased things, I'm like, this is so cute, I love this, and it doesn't go with anything else in my closet, and I'm like, I'm going to wear this for some event, and it just sits there for years. Right?
Well, that goes back to like this idea of like sometimes stress and overwhelm can add to the purchase power. I'm stressed, this helps me feel better.
Yes.
I have an extra gadget or another thing that creates some happiness or joy. But if I'm aware of, am I really using it for joy? Is that really giving me joy? Or am I just looking for the next thing and the next thing? But I think it's really great to kind of bring it back to addressing the realities of whether it's your closet or your finances or your relationships, and looking at those things where real satisfaction and real contentment come from, rather than chasing the next exciting thing or the next fun thing or the thing that might bring me temporary happiness, like that coffee in the morning or that cute skirt that I could wear on a girls. We're going on a girls trip.
I know.
On a girls trip when I'm like, I
fantastic
need to go on a girls trip now. Then I'm buying a trip to another destination.
Yes.
So.
And you also have to think about too. Not only is there the financial cost, buying the item, then there's the mental cost of keeping track of it once it's in your home. Maintaining that item.
Extra
hanging it up, washing it, do you need another hanger? Like all the other things that you don't think about, and the mental toll and the physical space it takes up. And so all those other factors that influence us.
And going back to all the things we have create more stress for us. Not just, do I got to find another hanger, but like sometimes having too much of something creates more stress. And then I say, well, I need another thing to help with that problem.
And I want to go shopping more.
I know. Gosh, it is a cycle.
It is. And just think of like all of, not only the internal stress, but all the exterior stress that we're being bombarded with on a daily basis. Like it's just real stressful time for lots of people. And so how do we cope? So is it that escapism? Is it running away to some fantasy? Is it buying something new to get that dopamine hit? And so really reflecting what your values are and what are other ways you can get that. Can you go for a walk? Can you call a friend? Can you do something online with someone, like do a Zoom call or something if someone's not close by, if you can't afford a airline ticket or a road trip. So I think reevaluating ways to meet those needs is a great step to try and break that cycle.
Yeah. And this goes back to, again, reality and addressing reality. And there's nothing wrong with a good fiction novel. There's nothing wrong with a vacation. There's nothing wrong with a coffee. But are we doing that to get a quick excitement, joy, or escape and not coming back to address the challenges? And of course, we can't police the world. We can't fix everything. But
man.
I know. If I had a wand, I would fix it all. But how are you addressing your mental, emotional, relational needs? And whether it's talking to the family member that you've had tension with, or whether it's, addressing the financial stressors in your life and really getting a good budget, talking to a counselor about some of the things that maybe you're overwhelmed with. Addressing those things can create less of the need of the escape or less of the need of the extra shiny thing, and more contentment in where we are in life.
And having less items makes you aware of the items in your home. So let's say you are out book shopping, and if you already have 5 other books at home that are in the same genre that you haven't read yet, whether it's self-help or fantasy or action or mystery, do you read those first before you're able to buy something new? If you have clothes in your closet you haven't worn yet, do you wear those before you get yourself something new? And so that's one of the things I've shared on the podcast before. Because I'm a sucker for really cute seasonal decor. That's my jam. I designed it for years. I love it. Want to decorate my house. So I take inventory at the beginning of the season, so that way I know what I have. So if I'm in the store, I don't, because if I haven't looked at it in a year,
having awareness,
I'm not going to know, right?
Yeah.
But if I go in the store and I'm like, oh, you know what? I have a cute sign already with this cute pun joke, for the holidays.
Everyone needs a cute pun
everybody
joke
needs
for the
it,
holidays.
Right? But then I know I already have it, and then I have to ask myself, am I willing to purchase this one to replace this item I already have and know I like? Or, am I good with what I have and would I rather save my money for something else?
Yeah, that comes to the self-awareness. So aware of myself, aware of what I have already, but also the self-accountability.
Yes.
So am I reading that book before I buy a new book? Am I, enjoying this outfit before I, buy a new outfit? I haven't taken the tags off yet. Maybe I need to use this outfit and wear it before I decide I need another 3 or 4 outfits.
I'm also really guilty of going to the store and buying a lot of food, and then it's like, oh, I'm going to go out to eat, and not being aware of, you have 3 meals at home that need to be cooked and eaten. Do that first before you go out.
Yeah. And again, there's always balance there,
Yes.
being flexible and being, kind of gentle, compassionate with yourself. But if this topic is kind of, striking a chord with you, how can I just kind of address this for myself? And that's just like sitting down, maybe doing some journaling, asking someone who knows you well some questions. Or maybe it's just, looking through what I have at home, my bookshelf or my closet or my refrigerator or pantry.
Right.
I am, notorious for buying food and not getting around to eating it or preparing it, like you said. So I have to be really careful because I'm like, that looks delicious and I'd love to make that. And then one day I'm like, I'm too tired to cook.
Yes.
Or that doesn't sound good today. And it'd be a lot easier just to go grab food at the restaurant down the street.
Right. But that's where food impulse purchases, because I'm like, oh, I want to make this and I want to make that. And the reality is no, I am going to eat out a couple times a week. So don't overbuy at the beginning, because I'm aware and know myself and what I'm going to do when I'm too tired to cook or don't want to go digging in the fridge. So awareness is key. Awareness
and accountability. And if you need an accountability person, for me, it's my husband when it comes to food. Oh, we have this food we need to cook, I need to cook it, or I'm not going to buy this because we already have other food we need to prepare. Or having someone, we have a rule in our home, if it's over this amount of money, we're going to talk to each other before we buy it. And so I think those can be helpful strategies for awareness, accountability, and for, just making sure that we're aware of how we're spending instead of impulse spending, or intentionally spending our time or our money.
And I think too, if you're someone who's single, and you're living in a home by yourself, sometimes those late at night scrolling, you can get yourself in trouble. I mean, everybody can.
Yeah.
But if you don't have someone immediately in your vicinity to hold you accountable, you could ask a parent, ask a friend, ask, someone else that you're close to, if that's a goal that you want to have for yourself.
Yeah, I love a good goal. And so, let's all kind of work on awareness of how we're spending time, resources, money, and making sure we're using it more intentionally, especially as we're getting into the holidays,
Yes. And thinking about when you are on your phone or online or in the store, what is the intent of this app or this ad or this thing? What are they trying to get me to buy? And do I really need it? And just, even if you just went through and just counted in a day, take a day and count how many ads you see or how many times someone's trying to sell you something. It's not hard to see why we spend so much money in the U.S. on
turn on the TV commercials, buy this is cool, this is new, this is limited edition,
right?
I want to
collector's item.
I want to be in the cool crowds sometimes.
You might need this one day. All those things we tell ourselves. So.
Definitely. Yeah.
So if you're ready to kind of take that next step and kind of get more self-awareness, we do have our book, Reframe and Reclaim. There's lots of good self-reflective questions in there to really kind of figure out what you value and where your priorities lie in that awareness. And that's a really great place to start. Listening to our podcast is also a weekly motivation, or check us out on social media. And let us know if there's a time that you impulse purchase something and it just sat in your closet or sat in your home and you never used it and you're like, oh, wish I would have saved that money. Or, tell us a time that you fought the urge and what did you ask yourself, or what steps did you take in order to keep yourself, on track for your goals. So let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you next week. Bye.